Hey, this is Mad Movie Mark with a Mad Movie Mark movie review. Thank you for joining me as I review the 1936 French comedy drama, The Story of a Cheat.
Une espèce de brute antipathique, abominable, et qui m'a terrifié.
Hey, well, I hope that's not true. I come as a friend. If this is your first time joining me, I am reviewing every movie in this here book, The 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die. The Story of a Cheat was written, directed by, and stars Sacha Guitry, and he doesn't have a name in this film, I don't believe. He's just like called Self or The Writer. This movie is also known as Confessions of a Thief, and it's a lot like a silent film that I saw many months ago called Dr. Mabuse. It reminds me of that movie, but I would say not as entertaining. This was the first movie to use voice-over narration. The dialogue scenes are rarely heard directly. Much of the story unfolds visually, while the protagonist narrates events from the future. This was highly unconventional for the time. It has early use of the unreliable narrator. The main character survives as a child only because he skipped a meal that was poisoned. He then embraces dishonesty as a philosophy of survival. The film subtly questions whether you should trust his versions of the events that unfold. Though a sound film, it often feels like it is silent. It has very long takes, minimal synchronized dialogue, and theatrical staging. So when this movie opens up, we are introduced to this child. He has a very large family. He has like 6 or 7 brothers and sisters. He has a mother, father. He might live with grandparents. I don't remember. He lives with a very, very large family. One day he gets caught stealing from his father. His dad owns a shop, and he's like stealing money from the till, I believe. And his father punishes him by telling him that he's not allowed to have any mushrooms that night for dinner. Now, of course, he is like very saddened by this. He loves his mushrooms. This is a kid who wants only mushrooms in life and to steal. Now, after he's told he can't have mushrooms, the rest of the family eats them, and they are apparently poisonous mushrooms, and everyone in the family but him dies. Now, he sees this as he had good fortune, and the only reason why he was able to live and the only reason he didn't die is because he was a thief. It's because he stole things. So he basically thinks that now throughout the rest of his life he can start stealing stuff. So as he gets older, he takes jobs at like hotels and different type of bellhop type jobs. Eventually, so I'm not gonna say a lot of plotline here because it's not a lot happens. It seems like he grows up. Eventually, he gets married. He finds this girl who also swindles people. They like saw each other from across the room and immediately fell in love. And after they fell in love and got married, or they fell in love, and then she divulged to him that she's a thief. They ended up getting married, and they started doing thievery stuff together. They had this really great plan where they rented this hotel. On one side of the wall, there were 2 separate rooms that they rented. In one of the rooms, on one side of the wall, there was like a cabinet where you would put things that were important to you. And on the other side of that same wall, they made a hole in the wall. And what they did is the woman she invited this guy who was selling jewelry up to her room, and she said, "Oh, this is fantastic. Like, this is the most amazing jewelry I've ever seen, but I'm going to need to go home and get some money or something. I don't have what I need here." So she took the jewelry, she put it in the cabinet. She carefully showed that she locked the cabinet, that she put the key in her purse so that there would be no tomfoolery with what's going on. And then she left the salesman in the room so that she could go get whatever she wanted. Now, on the other side of that cabinet, there's a hole in the cabinet. On the other side, the gentleman, the narrator, the person in question, the main star of the movie, reaches in through the hole, grabs the ring, and then they flee the scene. Now, after this, he ended up breaking up with her because he wanted to go straight. He didn't want to steal anymore. He didn't want to be someone who was a thief. He wanted to try to go the straight and narrow. Now, he got a job at a casino where he was playing roulette. He was like the guy at the table who was in charge of playing roulette. A woman came up to the table, and she had all this money, and she was losing a bunch of money. And then somehow he knew what, like, she kept betting on the same thing, like whatever the spot was on the roulette table, she kept betting and she kept losing. So he kind of like tried to will it to go to the right spot, and finally it landed on what she wanted, and then it kept landing on what she wanted. It kept hitting her number, and she kept winning. Now somehow he thought that they had some sort of this chemistry together where they could always win as long as she bets on this one spot. So they got married, and they decided that they were going to start swindling the casino to land on this one spot. Now, it didn't happen. He still worked. It didn't happen. They ended up going back, and they tried to do this. They tried to recreate it, and it didn't work. It kept landing on the wrong number. So obviously that day was just like a coincidence day, and it's not actually something that they could do. So they end up getting divorced. And then he learns to basically, I think he learns to count cards in poker or something, or he learns to make it so that when he bets on a 9, it always comes up and he always wins. But later on, while he's doing this, he meets someone from his past who saved his life, and they're betting against each other, and he decides he doesn't want to do that. The guy comes up to him and he's like, "Hey, why did you stop betting? You were winning all this money. You were doing great." And he says, "Well, because you saved my life when I was a kid. I didn't want to take the money from you." So they decide to band together, and they're going to be a gambling duo, since they both love gambling and they both have a history with each other. Eventually, he loses all of his money, all this money that he compiled and that he won throughout the years from gambling and from being a thief and from thievery. All the houses, all the cars, all the luxuries. He ends up losing it all. And at the end of the movie, he ends up meeting this former woman that he was in love with, and she says, "I remember you from when we were young, and I want to marry you. I have something that I want to do with you. I want to do together, and I want to marry you." And he says, "Well, what is it that you want to do?" And she says, "I want to do small time thieveries. I want to do small time criminal stuff with you, essentially." Now, I don't know if this guy just looks like someone who wants to rob people, or if just everyone he's ever known in his life is a crook. I don't know. But he declines it, and he says, "Sorry, I'm on the straight and narrow now. I am like a detective or something." I don't remember exactly what he was, but he's in some sort of law enforcement thing to where he can't be a thief. Otherwise, like, he would be fired, or that would go against his whatever morals he has. And that's basically the entire movie. Now, in my personal opinion, I thought this movie started off really strong. Like, it was a very impactful beginning where his whole family dies, and this is the reason why he wants to become a thief. And I thought, okay, this is going to be a really gripping, moving, touching movie. It's just going to tug at your heartstrings. It's going to be fantastic. But for me, it really falls off a cliff after the beginning. I wasn't a fan of the narration because there's just no acting, there's no music. It's just him talking the entire time. If I'm going to be honest, I was a little bored by it. It was a little monotone, and when something's monotone for like an hour and a half, it really doesn't keep my interest. It's really hard for me to stay interested in it. The storyline was fine. I honestly don't think what he was saying was the truth. It's all too ridiculous, and I think he was just lying about his life and his memoirs to make it seem like it was more interesting, or to make it seem like things were more than they were. It's a little over the top, which is fine. He talks about all these women that he dated and why they didn't work out, and they were cheating on him and all this stuff. It just all seems a little too wild to me, but it's just the way in which the story was told. It was just so slow. I was looking at the clock like every couple minutes to see like how much longer does this movie have. I need some sort of sound. I need some sort of music. I mean, it's not a silent film. He's obviously narrating, so there's talking, but there's like no music in the background. It's just him. There's no one else's voice. You don't hear any of the women talk. It's just his voice for an hour and a half, and it was just not something that I'm interested in. I didn't enjoy it that much. Like I said, the story is fine, the ending's fine, everything else is great. It's just too monotonous for me, and I had a really tough time getting through it. This is a short review, but it's not that long of a movie. There wasn't a whole lot that went on. I can't really talk about the acting. The script is good. It's well written. For someone who both did the writing, directing, and starring in it, and to do something completely new, which is to use voiceover narration. I think it said it took like 8 months or something just to sync all the sound and to make it come to life. Because it was something new that was happening, something that no one has ever done before. Like, I appreciate that, but when I go to watch it, it's not for me. I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. I hope you join me next time when I review Camille, which is a movie I think starring Greta Garbo, and I have not watched it yet, so that is coming up next. Thank you. Have a great day.